Is Michael Andretti actually going to join Formula One? What is stopping them from joining? Where are we currently sitting with the whole Andretti Cadillac GM deal and F1? So we're going to read some articles here and go over them, starting off with this one by crash.net. Saying FIA President Mohammed bin Salim, why do Andretti need the F1 team support? I don't understand. So a lot of things, a big narrative is like, the other teams, and the most vocal has been Toto from Mercedes, of they don't want to let Andretti enter the grid just because it's going to dilute the prize money for everyone else, and that's been kind of the going sentiment across the other F1 teams, that hey, if Andretti gets in, it's going to dilute the prize money, and then we're all hurting. So we'll cover that here in a bit. But it says FIA President Mohammed bin Salim, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, says, I'm optimistic that they will not say no to Andretti's planned F1 entry. And he's referring to the FOM, Formula One Management, which is led by Liberty Media, that they will give them the rights or give them a commercial agreement to Andretti. So anyway, it says here, many existing team bosses have been vocal in questioning the sense of Andretti joining. And then Salim says, let's ask ourselves a question. Why do Michael Andretti and General Motors need the team support? I don't understand. Do they have a say in the admission? So in the sport, they are in, referring to the teams, in the sport, they are an element, and everybody has the right to express their feelings toward it. But how can you refuse GM? The FIA has a right on the sporting side. FOM has the money side, but will FOM refuse? We are talking about the biggest manufacturer in the United States, working with one of the biggest companies, Liberty Media, and if they don't see it, so if we're talking about business, this is good for business. So reason being is that he's saying like, well, why do the other team need to agree or support Andretti? And obviously, the other 10 teams have no say-so if Andretti actually joins, right? Whether the FIA turns them down, which they didn't, they let him pass, and it gets to the FOM. And but it's one of those things where, like, if you're gonna go anywhere, if you're joining a new squad or new whatever, right? If you're in high school, college, and you're joining this new team or whatever, like, it's just good to know you have support from everyone else. Like, it's, imagine if this was completely flipped around and everyone was in agreement of allowing an 11th team and expanding to 22 cars on the grid. It just gives you a different feel. So obviously, I don't know why, it could be for many other reasons why Andretti wants approval or support from other teams. But I mean, just, if I'm going anywhere to anything, it's like, you want to, it'd be nice to know that everyone else wants to be with you or wants to support you and welcomes you into whatever you're going into. So, maybe that's one angle that they're trying to look at. So let's continue here. What I've heard from the legal side is that they can say no to the financial. So the FIA has, again, approved of Andretti joining the grid, but now it's going to go to the FOM to actually say whether they get to join or not. So then we can look at the actual prize money dilution that might happen if an 11th team actually joins. And one thing with that, it's all speculative, right? It's all assumptions, right? There is no concrete numbers to like what the prize money is, right? The total purse that gets distributed to the other 10 teams, or what the payouts are like. It's all very just kept secret from the public. So we'll go over what motorsport.com has to say and what their assumptions are of the prize pool. So from motorsport.com is, what's the real prize money impact for F1 teams if Andretti joins the grid? So let's scroll down here. So it says here, furthermore, they fear that sharing the prize pool with another team risks bringing financial uncertainty for operations that just 3 years ago were on the brink during the COVID pandemic. And and one thing you'll kind of notice, and what I've kind of noticed over reading several articles, is like how how fragile is Formula One right now. I'm not speaking to the performance or anything, but like, obviously, like, there's high cost associated with everything, right? So it says, while the current teams have no formal say on the FOM's final decision, their resistance will likely be a key factor in swaying F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali, sorry if I mispronounced that, final opinion on the matter. And critical to the negativity towards Andretti is the fear from some team that adding an 11th squad to the grid could risk their own future. So Williams team principal James Vowles made it clear at the recent Qatar Grand Prix that squads like his were still on the knife edge when it came to finances. So losing prize money and value would not be a good thing. This is what I get to of like how what's keeping all these teams afloat. And as you'll see here shortly, it's like, well, how, if this is all out of pocket from the team owners, like how sustainable are these teams, and how, what's the true foundation that F1 is on if they're being propped up by the team owners just pumping in millions and millions of dollars to keep them afloat? So James says, my responsibility is to 900 employees within my company. If you go look at Companies House, you can look it up. You can go look it up for Williams. We've submitted it now, and you can see that we're lossy. We're very lossy. In fact, compared to 21 to 22, you'll see that losses are in the tens of millions more. Compared to 23, which you won't see, but I'll guarantee you it's the multiples above that. So it just means like, they're running at a heavy loss. Could it be because, it is a part of that because of Logan Sargent continually, crashing and causing these major repairs? Possibly, right? So then let's talk about the prize money payments. So Formula 1 exact prize money split is secret, with its details enshrined in the commercial element of the two Concord agreements that effectively govern the series. So, if you see anyone talking about numbers when it comes to the prize pool, prize dilution, what you get for how, all these numbers of monetary value, they're all assumptions. They're all made up. They're all speculative because, again, like there's no like, hey, here's the exact sheet of like, here's how much we're paying out to each team for this place, for this whatever. So take everything you hear with a grain of salt. So the best estimation is that according to the terms of the Concord Agreement, the team prize pot is made up 50% of the overall commercial right profits that the sport generates. And that's pretty like if you look at the NBA, NFL, I believe it's within that range as well. However, it is understood that after a certain point of revenue, FOM's percentage share shifts up, so it keeps more than half from that figure onwards. It means teams do not always get a straight 50% of the money. And that's another thing, like, and I can only compare things to like the NBA or NFL just because here in America, that's what we watch. Obviously, there's like European soccer with the Premier League and such, but I don't really keep up with how they split everything and such. And MLS is completely different to how NBA and NFL manage their franchises and the money split. But it's interesting that there is no, like in NFL, if you're going to bring in a new team, you have to get approval from all team owners. So it's all like we're in agreement or not in agreement of adding a new team. And with the NBA, you have the what's it called, I forget the name of it, but basically it's the empowerment of the players, where they get to hold negotiations with the NBA to see like, hey, what's the revenue share going to be like what do we want, what do we don't want moving into the next deal. I think it's called the CBA, I believe. But anyway, so I'm surprised that like the F1 doesn't have something like that, because like obviously, as they said, like the team owners have no say in whether or not Andretti or any future team gets added to the grid, right? But at the same time, if you have all these owners putting in so much money, millions of money, and employees and hard work and traveling and whatever, it's like, well, not that they should, but I mean, like, I'm just comparing it to the NFL, NBA, and it's like, well, all the owners there have a say so, and it's like a very there's a very set standard of criteria that needs to be met in order to consider adding a new team. So it's just interesting to see that F1 doesn't have that in place at all, nor does it have any team kind of collective agreement of, hey, here's what we want from F1, like whatever. So it's just interesting to see that. These payments are not shared equally among all the teams, however. So this is an important thing to note. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. First of all, Ferrari continues to have an extra payment for its historical significance, which is believed to be 5% of the total pot. So, is that good? Obviously Ferrari is synonymous with F1. Like, a lot of people have like, if there's no Ferrari, you have no F1. So again, is it right for them to claim 5% of the total pot for the historical significance? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Next is teams that have achieved success in the Constructors Championship in recent years also qualify for a simple bonus from having won one title or a bigger payment for winning 2 or more. There's also understood to be a separate pot based on extra payments for teams that have finished in the top 3 of the Constructors Championship in the previous 10 years. So it sounds quite a little confusing. So this would currently include the Mercedes, Red Bull, Williams, Ferrari, and McLaren. So again, like, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about those points right there? So I'm gonna skip all the way down to the team prize payouts for 10 teams based on a $1 billion prize pool. Again, these are all just like rough assumptions of numbers. These aren't permanent by any means. So if we go with the current 10 team grid, we're gonna have first place has 14%, which is 140 million. Second place is 13.1 for 131 million. Third place is 12.2% for 122 million. And then we're going to go down all the way to the last 2, which is ninth place is 6.9%, which is 69 million. And then 10th place is 6% for $60 million. Now, again, like, although those are obviously huge numbers of a prize pool. But again, like, if you have to look at that against their operating cost and all that. And it's like, even at the 10th place, 60 million sounds like a lot because it is. But then it's like, if they're spending, 85 million in operations to keep things running, it's like, well, where does the other 20 million come from? Again, this is all I just made up the numbers right there as well. It's just interesting to see, like, how are they staying afloat if, you have Williams saying, like, hey, like, we're losing millions of dollars and our owner is pumping in millions of dollars to keep us afloat. So if it expands to 11 teams, right, then obviously everyone gets a lower percentage, and the highest percentage gets the most money taken out, because obviously it's the highest percentage. So, like, for instance, the first place goes from 14% to 13.3%, so they get diluted 140 million to 133 million. Second place goes from 13.1% to 12.5%, and it goes from $131 million to $125 million. And I'll skip down to the bottom to the last 2, and or last 3, I should say now. So if the ninth place goes from 6.9%, which is 69 million, and then it gets diluted to 6.5%, and they drop down to 65 million. The 10th place team goes from 6% to 5.7% and drops down from 60 million to 57 million. And then the 11th place team has 4.9%, and that's 49 million. So this loss of commercial income for everybody is why the 2021-2025 Concord Agreement included the famous 200 million dilution fee, which was intended to cover any such losses in prize income for several years. So basically, it's like, if everyone is going to take a loss or a reduction in the prize pool, then Andretti or whatever 11th team comes in should pay this $200 million fee. That way, it's gonna make up for the money we lost. That 200 million will get distributed to the other teams. And then you have Christian Horner from Red Bull saying, I think that when you look at how Audi has come into the sport, they've acquired an existing team and an existing franchise. Should it be different for others? He says, but I think that's where Liberty and the FIA need to get together and come to us with a collective position. But you can't have one rule for one and another for others. And, Christian Horner has been very vocal about, maybe not against it, but he's also said, like, one of the things that he wanted to see from Andretti is like, hey, Andretti, if you're going to join, you need to have your own power unit, which is just kind of comical because, Red Bull, they don't have their own power unit, right? They've relied on Renault and Honda. Now they're developing their own facility to create their own power unit. But it's like, bro, what about you? Like, you didn't have your own power unit. So all in all, right now, like, there is no big update as far as, like, the FIA has approved Andretti and Cadillac GM to enter. Now it goes to FOM and Liberty Media. But what I'm really getting is, like, it just feels like they want to keep their own exclusive club, right? All the current 10 teams, they want to make it feel like, hey, like, this is our club. You can't mess with our club. And like, how the finances of everything is like, well, how vulnerable or how much of a liability is F1 if like is there never going to be another team, an additional team that joins F1? Like for the forever, is it only ever going to be 10 teams? Because, at least with like, in the Premier League, they have relegation and promotion, right? If you drop to the bottom seed or the bottom place, you'll get relegated down a division, and then the top team from the lower division gets promoted up to the higher division. I'm sorry if I'm kind of saying wrong terminology here. So, and they don't have anything like that. NFL, NBA, you can add new teams if the owners agree about it, if they have whatever, how much net worth or money to buy the team, whatever. So like there's things in place to like either move a team down in divisions or add a new team. But with F1 and everything that they're doing, it's like, hey, we just want to stay our 10 teams. We don't want anyone else. Like, and again, like it's I can see the reasoning of like you're diluting the prize pool, but it's like, what's the next step then? Like, what's the next expansion? Just think about it like if it was the NFL, what if you get 16 teams to enter the grid, right? And now you have like different divisions or different, you have 4 teams and 8 drivers battling out in, Division 1, and then you have 4 teams and 8 drivers battling out in Division 2, and then it's a tournament style, and then they move. I don't know, but I'm saying like if you never want to expand, it'll be the same formula, It'll be the same formula, the same style, the same thing for how long? And it's like, again, like I believe the viewership is already down in the United States. And like, not that I'm like, oh, like America, but it's like, obviously F1 wants to bring in the American dollars, right? And it's like, well, what's the next step, right? And not only that, but like, I think from what I see from other content creators on YouTube and such, it's like, what else do they have to do, right? Like there was a criteria to be met for a new team to come in. Andretti checked off the boxes. They're bringing in GM, right? It's like if Porsche wanted to come in and people are like, no, Porsche, like you have to, it's like, it's Porsche. It's Audi. Of course you want to let them in. And it's like, you're going to not let GM in. Like you don't want GM to come in as a manufacturer, because then we have this other article right here, actually. I don't know how well or what how much emphasis I'm going to put on this, but it says a report has claimed that via multiple sources, Formula One has attempted to convince General Motors to ditch Andretti in continued resistance to the Andretti Cadillac bid for F1. And I won't go into this article, but again, it's like these team owners like are always throwing different things in of like, hey, 200 million, hey, 600 million dilution fee, hey, you have to have your own power unit, hey, maybe you should go, hey, maybe, and it's like, what's going on here? Like it like the politics is going crazy with what they're trying to do on how they're trying to stop Andretti. So I don't know. For me, I would just like to see an 11th team. Not even Andretti, although it's cool that it's Andretti, it's American-based, whatever. But it's like, what's the next evolution of Formula One? Or is it always going to be, for the rest of time, just 10 teams, right? Like, imagine if the NFL or NBA or MLS, like, never went from the original 6 teams. Like, they're like, no, just these 6 teams. I don't know. It's just interesting to see. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I overall just it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, just because you can kind of see like it just feels like they want to keep it their own boys club. Hey, this is our club. Like no one else in it. No. You're not allowed to enter. This is our exclusive club, and the politics around it I'm not really a fan of that. So, anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section down below.